learning English doesn't have to be boring. You don't need a classroom or a grammar book to understand how real English works. Sometimes, a story is all you need. So if you're into learning through fun, awkward, real-life situations, hit that like, follow, or subscribe, because there's a new one here every single day. He was staying in a cheap little guest house in a quiet part of town. The room was small, the bed a little squeaky, but it had everything he needed, except maybe a good coffee machine. He had slept in a bit, then opened the door to grab something from his backpack, which he had left just outside the room. It was a habit: take off his shoes, drop the bag, and only bring what he needed inside. So he stepped out quickly, barefoot, to grab his phone from the bag. Just a second. And in that second, the door clicked shut behind him. He froze. He turned slowly. The door closed. He tried the handle. Locked. He stared at it in disbelief. This couldn't be real. No, no, no. He twisted the knob again. Pulled. Pushed. Nothing. The door had one of those auto locks that close tight the second it shut. Great for safety. Terrible when your phone, keys, and socks are all inside. He looked around. The hallway was quiet. Very quiet. A few doors, some plants in pots, one old mirror on the wall. No sounds. No footsteps. No voices. And here he was. Locked out of his own room. No phone. No key. No shoes. He walked slowly down the hall. Maybe the reception desk was open. Maybe someone could help. But the lobby downstairs was empty. No staff. Just a big wooden desk, a dusty bell, and a sleepy-looking cat sitting near the window. He rang the bell. Once. Twice. Waited. Nothing. He sighed and sat down in the hallway. He leaned his back against the wall and looked at the ceiling. How had this even happened? 1 second. That's all it took. He began thinking of options. He could wait for someone to walk by. He could yell, but that felt dramatic. He could try to find another guest and explain with hand gestures, since he didn't speak the local language very well. So he waited. After what felt like forever, he heard footsteps. A woman was walking down the stairs, holding a book and a cup of tea. He jumped up and smiled. She smiled back, confused. He pointed at his door, then at himself, and made a locking motion with his hands. Then he pointed at his bare feet, shrugged, and gave a thumbs down. She laughed a little. Then, without saying much, she walked past him, knocked on the door next to his, and called someone. Moments later, an older man in slippers came out. Probably the owner. He followed her back, looked at the boy, and laughed a little too. He pulled out a keychain from his pocket, unlocked the door, and said something that probably meant, "Be more careful." He stepped back into the room. Sweet, sweet room. The bed, the fan, the little cup of water on the table, and yes, his phone, still charging near the bed like nothing had happened. He closed the door gently this time. Then walked over and put the key safely in his pocket. He didn't trust the door anymore. Not even a little. From that day on, he checked for the key every time he stepped out. And his phone? Never left it out of sight again. Because 1 second is all it takes. Ever locked yourself out like that? It's the kind of mistake that only happens once, hopefully. If this story made you smile, or feel seen, leave a comment and tell me your most embarrassing travel moment. And if you're learning English, guess what? You just picked up real vocabulary and grammar without even trying. Stick around, new stories come every single day.